looking 5 or 10 years ahead and how we can envision what happens at the allotment, which is, I think, was such a great thing to do. And here today, I think we're just going to talk a bit about how we're reflecting on what we know of Groschessen. It doesn't necessarily just have to be the allotment, but how the things that have worked and challenged us, and then also just reflecting on the solutions to any kind of real challenges that have maybe things that have or haven't worked. But in respect to like working with wild edges, it's just given a bit more of kind of a structure and a way forward with the allotment, I think, that we haven't necessarily brought in a group that's like outside of us lot, I guess, to kind of experiment and talk about permaculture in a more I'm going to say dynamic way, kind of like challenging us to think about what we could be doing or how we could be working, and bringing new people in, because Paul hasn't actually been to the allotment, have you?
I've walked past a few times.
Yeah. And Trevor's here now, and Trevor's been, but not like he's not been fully involved yet. But here you are. Yeah, welcome.
Thanks. Hey, Kieran.
How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a busy one. Sorry, I was just on a phone call. It's still working, actually.
Oh, Trevor.
What's wrong?
Are you actually still working? Literally now?
Voluntarily. I'm not even getting overtime. But
oh, God.
It's the way, the new normal is just to expect us to carry on working way after normal hours.
Working and attending a workshop.
Yeah.
Well done.
You work from home. I don't think you stop working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get into emails or.
Trevor, we were just doing introductions. So I feel like I don't really need to introduce myself, but I was kind of introducing the workshop. But does everyone else want to introduce themselves? Trevor, do you want to do it? You just joined. I feel like I'll just pick on you if you don't mind.
Oh, so like, hi, my name is Trevor. I'm from Cheshunt, a graphic designer. I've got an allotment renting, so this is all very exciting. And I hope I can help out in some way or another with, was that what you required?
That was great. And you were here last time, so
yeah. So I think a lot of you guys I've seen before. It's good to see Kieran again. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Last time I saw you, we were playing rugby.
Right. Yeah.
If you call it that.
Do you want to go, Kieran?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So yeah, I'm Kieran. Yeah, I was involved with Groschessen from the start. And yeah, I was involved in sort of all manner of things with the allotment, as well as community outreach and events. And yeah, it's nice what you said there, Wendelin, about sort of permaculture values and trying to link up with the outer community and schools. Because yeah, that's what we were trying to do. That's what we are trying to do. Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, I'm not in Cheshunt at the moment. I'm living in Haringey, North London, so I'm sort of a bit out of the loop in terms of things. But yeah, I'm happy to contribute and see where it's going in the future. Yeah.
Thanks, Kieran. Perry, would you like to give us a little introduction about who you are?
Yeah.
Why you're here? I guess this is
why are you here today?
Why are you here? Yeah. What is it hoping to get?
I'm Perry. I been a part of Groschessen, I'd say nearish the beginning, not exactly at the start, but I joined a couple of months after, and I'm the treasurer of Groschessen, so I deal with the finances. And Rosanna contacted me about a week or two ago, just wanted to see if I would want to pop by, and I'm kind of interested to see how we can develop the allotment in this time, because I've just been working from home really through this whole COVID period, so it'd be interesting to see what we can do to the allotment and sort of like, yeah, and see how we can progress with Groschessen in a way, which is why I'm here today.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thanks.
Who would like to go next? Well, Paul or Ian? Just a short intro while you're here.
I don't mind going first. My name's Paul CB, local resident, local councillor, jolly good head, hopefully. Pops in and tags in, finds out what's going on, and just has a general interest in the work of Groschessen and obviously the other offshoots, the Grow Comedy Nights, which sadly we haven't had for some time. And we did have a pantomime this year, or last year, I should say, either. Hopefully we can get that going because it was quite nice down at the Old English pub, intimate performance area. And yeah, it was. I was talking, funny enough, a week or so ago about when we had the performers who were on their way to Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and the fact we had the opportunity of something like that in Cheshunt. It was quite marvellous.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably miss that, don't they?
Mm.
It was a great time.
That's me.
Thanks, Paul. That's fantastic. Ian, would you like to?
Yeah. So I'm Ian, Wendellin's husband, and I suppose in terms of what I do, it's kind of pretty much been covered by Wendelin because we do it together. So all of that stuff. So just for me, although like Wendelin said, we moved back from Devon the end of last year. I'm from Cheshunt, so although I've not been there for the last few years, grew up in Cheshunt and went to Gough School, just the other side of the fence from the allotment. So, I'm very Cheshunty. So when we moved back, we were looking for, similar projects to what we were doing, people who shared our ethics and ways of doing things, and found Groschessen, and it's been great so far. So looking forward to really getting stuck into some things, and hopefully with the better weather and hopefully a bit more COVID freedom, we can actually get out there and do some things hands-on in the sunshine, which would be lovely. Face to face with human beings. Yeah.
And that'd be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, back to you, Ed.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Paul. Thank everybody. So we're a small group, but I just think it'd be nice to just go through the process of what we were going to do in the reflections workshop anyway. So the idea really of this workshop is just to literally the reflection process, to look at the challenges that Groschessen has actually faced, and capture some of those challenges and opportunities and what's been celebrated as well. And there is the aim of this workshop, along with the others that we hope to deliver as well, not all online, we aim to deliver them practically as well, is to connect up to run through a permaculture design process, which we're piloting with Groschessen, which is fabulous. And then hopefully for Groschessen to, I guess, be a hub or a catalyst for actually rolling that out into the local community. But that's something that hopefully we can talk about as we hopefully will all connect going forward. So I'm aware of the time, and I would like to introduce Rosanna, who is going to just talk to us a little bit.
Like I don't need it.
Yes, you do. So Rosanna's just going to talk to us a little bit about reflecting on Groschessen, being the expert, and just talk to us about some of the challenges, what's been celebrated, what the opportunities have been. So I hand over to you, Rosanna.
Okay. This feels weird because it's just going through basically like what we've done. And I feel like a lot of you know that sort of like what we have done, but I put together a PowerPoint and like gone through the years sort of thing and picked out the posters and yeah, picked out some of the kind of descriptions of what Groschessen is. And it's been quite interesting to just think about how much we've actually achieved as a group. I think we've talked about it, but like actually seeing things visibly is quite interesting. I could have done this better, but yeah, I don't know if I can share, but let me see. Let me see if I can share. Yes, I can. Okay. This is good. So what is Groschessen? Groschessen is a volunteer-run community collective based in Cheshunt, we've formed in response to the Year of Environment. Firstly with the community allotment, which is located in Cheshunt, and then this says we used a local venue, but we started using the Old English Gentleman for the open mics and the comedy nights. But we've used many different venues throughout the borough, really, which has been part of what we do. And one of the most important things, I think, is that we've been able to provide guidance and space to encourage individual development while working to co-create new projects and ideas for a more inclusive, sustainable and positive approach to creative change in the borough of Oxbourne. So I think I'll kind of, and feel free to like hop in at any time with anything if you feel like you want to say something, because I'll probably just ramble for a bit. But I think we had creative sustainable change as was that it, Kieran? Do you remember?
Well, like the initial sort of
Yeah.
mission statement. Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
It's been sort of continuously evolving. But
Yeah.
yeah, like you say, it started with the community allotment, but then we realised there was a wider need in the community for just people coming together and having a laugh or expressing themselves. So yeah, it was to do with creativity and sustainability. Those are sort of core.
Yeah, and I think that's where permaculture came into it when I mean, when we started learning about the principles of permaculture, the people care, earth care and fair share, and just thinking about how that includes how we respect our environment, but it also is a part of how we respect our community and ourselves within that as well. So it's always been like a part, like an underlying feature of Groschessen, is one, because I'm quite passionate about it, but then also once you start talking to other people about these kind of principles, it seems so relevant to the way that we should be working in society. So this is kind of where it started. And I was just writing down a few things of like, what have we actually done? At the allotment, we've done kids' days, monthly swap shops, just general meetings and general socials, and it's been like a general social space. And I think a lot of what we've discussed as a group has been more to do with like making people aware, having that social space and possibly educational space in the future. As much as a food growing kind of education, it's more a bit of everything about how to sort of educate ourselves within community and kind of respect each other. And then the list of like actual events that we've done outside of the allotment is probably bigger than what we've done at the allotment, which has been really good for just speaking to a whole variety of new people and experiencing different people's passions and being able to work with different people's passions. And yeah, so we've done open mics and comedy nights, game days, young voices events, community days, photo exhibition, and different gigs with community groups. So I think we can be quite proud of working collaboratively with different people and groups, which is something that the borough maybe sometimes struggles to get the different groups together. They sometimes stay in one place. So I think one of the things we really enjoyed was actually getting out and saying, we can do this for you and we can help you put on a like a gig or put on a comedy night, or, you know, we had the different people to do these different things. And I just wanted to like remind everyone what the allotment looked like from day one, which is pretty much, this is my dad, this is John McKenna, and it was completely like just nothing really, wasn't necessarily overgrown, but the tree definitely has always been kind of a vocal point of the allotment, and we decided to design it around this idea of having an accessible bed at the front, and then something interesting and to walk around at the back. And this isn't the best picture, but you can sort of see the development. The shed came in at the start of 2019, so we didn't actually have a shed for like first 2 years, which is crazy. But it's really nice to look back on. And these is just some of the events we did in 2017. Some of these I just forgot about. Like, we obviously had a allotment open day, and we had a few community events. We did a mini music festival, and Kieran and I don't know, Kieran, do you want to talk about like the open mic and the comedy nights? I didn't ask you to talk about anything, but
Yeah, no.
you're
Yeah, I mean, that kind of, it just sort of happened organically, really. We just felt that there was a need for that, having grown up in Cheshunt and Broxbourne, really, like Hertfordshire in general, like there seems to be a sort of a lacking of just music and art and performance spaces. And we just went round to pubs and asked if we could use one of their back rooms, and the Old English, like being a kind of rough and tumble kind of place, like I feel like we've sort of changed the image of maybe the Old English, or like I'd certainly never went in there before, and the landlord at the time let us use the back space, and then we sort of, with the contacts that we had, created open mic nights, and then where anyone could come up and perform, and then comedy nights off the back of that, where we'd have, like Paul was saying, people going off to do the Edinburgh Fringe, or like professional comedians, and then we ended up doing that, the open mics once a month, and then maybe a comedy night as well, or a couple of comedy nights. So it was from 2017 to probably 2019, it was pretty full on, really, and it was well attended, and people, I think the community really came together over that. There was a real just feel, that we'll actually just walk into something, having a laugh, and then getting to know people in the local area, and it was just it's a really nice thing to be a part of. But I think we're really proud, really, actually, of what we did with that. And it was just a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll get back to that sooner than later.
I think it was something that was really needed. I was just like, I didn't actually put any pictures together, but I'm going through our Instagram page and all the images of like what we did in the first year, and there was so many comedy nights in the first year.
There were so many. You actually lose track. There's bit of a blur, but no, it was great.
And the thing was, I was thinking about how we brought like the allotment to the open mic and the comedy night as well.
Yeah,
We would bring like vegetables to the comedy night and
yeah, like raffle them off,
yeah.
or just
It was really
try and spread the message of Grow Cheshunt with, you know, in a comedy environment or in an open mic environment as well, like let people know that there's other things going on.
And we also put on, because my brother's a musician, we put on a big gig at the end of 2017, but it was like the end of his tour, and Wormley Community Centre at the time was under threat of like sort of being sold, and we were able to get him as a local musician who has a following to like do an event there. And then we started working more with Wormley Community Centre and helping them put on gigs. We did a Christmas event as well. And we can see there's John again, his Father Christmas. Yeah, we did a variety show. So it's quite, I think Instagram is a great place to look back at what we've actually done. And we did really well with social media in the first few years.
I'm only seeing, sorry, Rosanna, I'm only seeing the 2017 thing. Are you showing other stuff?
Oh, right. I think maybe
Yeah,
I've
we're
got
just
to
stuff on
change
that.
it then. There's me just scrolling along like, oh, I'm showing
When
my
you said John was Santa Claus, I was like, okay, no. we're
Where's
definitely
John?
not
It's
on the
Santa
right page.
Here he is, Perry. Can
There
you
he
see him
is.
now?
I can now. Right.
Well
Great.
done. Yeah, I was going to say the same. It's like, I couldn't see this thing. Yeah.
I was like, hang
Yeah.
on a minute. There's no
Yeah, 'cause,
Santa
like,
Claus.
Yeah. I was like talking. I thought I was like showing it while Kieran was talking because there were so many
Was
comedy
there a picture
posters.
from the Appy Calf?
Yeah, the Happy Cat is here
Yeah,
as well. That was
I forgot
2007.
about that, to be honest. I just saw a cake and I associated it with the Appy Calf.
Yeah, I'll pop up. Yeah, at Oliver's we did. See, that was one of the things that we talked about doing at the start. It was like a little pop-up cafe. I think, is this a video? Is that Perry? Can you see that?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. Well, I
Oh,
can.
that was like at Oliver's, a cafe around the corner.
That's me.
It was so nice. We did it for like a month.
Yeah.
I think Paul C, you were there a few
Yes,
times, I
just
think.
saw myself. I'm in mid-flow talking about something by the looks of it.
Yeah.
About-
This is so much fun looking through like Instagram with you guys. But we did, yeah, I was saying about Wormley Community Centre, we did like a variety show, which was really fun. And we brought music, comedy and games, and it was just, we were able to help them put something on. And that's been one of the, I think, most valuable things, is to actually help other people put something on or start something. And yeah, it was just so important to be able to do that. I realized I could go on and like, if I was just looking at the Instagram page, I could go on forever.
Seeing some things keep coming back.
Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it?
Like, you haven't got the pantomime. I don't know if you.
Oh, that I was gonna get to that in a bit, Paul. Don't worry.
Sorry.
But I was going back to 2018, and there were some of the events we did there, but we did so much, and we did like an Easter half-term event, the big lunch at Whithurn Park. Oh, well, actually, that was Wormley Community Centre, but we did one at Whithurn Park as well, which is next to the council offices, and they hadn't really used it for anything, but we decided, well, the council were really supportive of us doing anything really, because they didn't have a younger group of people coming and celebrating their community, and I think that's something that we really brought as a group, is that we were a bit younger than most people in the voluntary and community sector here, and we were really engaged in like our passions and what we enjoyed doing. So it was, yeah, that was 2018 as well. Yeah, we did loads. Oh, and Grow Gaming, Perry.
Oh yeah, I forgot me and Ray were doing that at the Harrison Hall, weren't we?
Yeah.
We just literally had, it was like a Saturday every 2 months. We had
Yeah.
people come over, and then if they wanted to bring board games, they could, but we brought a few board games ourselves, and we just sort of like met members of the community, and it was good because we got the flow of traffic through Harrison Hall themselves. We met some quite nice people in there. We told them about Groschessen, and then we had 1 or 2 people come back now and again. That was quite nice, but yeah, I think it was just, it took a lot of time, and of course we had to make sure Ray was there because he was using his board games a lot as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. It was nice that Harrison Hall let us use their space, like quite prominent space as well, like in the center of their shop. Well, like where people go, because it was like in Tesco's. So on Saturday afternoon as well, like one of their busiest times. It was very lovely of them letting us have their space for that. Yeah, but that was cool.
Yeah, it was really nice to just experiment with things and see what actually worked.
Yeah.
And I think it does show that like you do need the time and the people really to continue with things.
Definitely, yeah.
But it was so much fun to have like explore different things.
Yeah.
And oh, I've bypassed 2019. How'd that happen?
I think the Games Day stuff was 2019, wasn't it? I think that was.
Yeah,
maybe
maybe got me. Yeah,
maybe just put 2018 twice.
I've just mixed everything up. Yeah, this is meant to be. I think I'll just go through Instagram for a second because it's much easier than this PowerPoint thing I've put together.
Instagram's great for that, isn't it?
Can you see it again?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I can see it now.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I just found it easier to go through Instagram than like culminate all the pictures we have, because Ray's been like, well, we had a few photographers over a period of time, so we had a lot of photographs from these events, and it's just getting them all together would be great one day to just put it all up. Even if one day Groschessen never exists, it would just be great to just have it there to be like, this is what was here. Yeah, because this was 2019, I do believe, and we had the Easter weekend and kids allotment day.
Mhm.
And that was, yeah, we did a Cheshunt's big picnic in the park. I'm guessing this is Whithurn Park.
That was fun.
Oh, it was great.
Trevor, were you there?
I'm sure that was the time we played. We were messing around. Yeah, I'm sure I was there.
Yeah. Yeah, we were definitely messing around. Just like,
with a rugby ball.
yeah.
It's like sort of touch rugby, but then there was this little kid, and I touched him a little bit too hard. I sent him flying.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be playing with these little kids and running like full pelt.
They hadn't really used that space. Oh, let's see an open mic one. Now I'm going through everything. You probably can't even hear it though.
Oh, I think I might have even been there. That was so much. It was hilarious.
Can you hear it or not?
No,
No,
we can't. No, when you share, you can optimize your before you share your screen. But I think it's amazing. Yeah,
Get the gist.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the open mics, and there's probably loads more in here as well. There's Harrison Hall again. They donated a few things to us.
Nice.
And this is one of Lucy's Groger sessions where we did like a dynamic yoga kind of. It was really interesting. It's really getting into that. Oh, and there's Perry with a very well donation. Thank you very much. That was for the the Box Spawn open day that they have every year. And Kieran learnt to sew plastic together. Let's watch this.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if this was the first time that
Mm.
Kieran used a sewing machine. Was it?
I think so. And the last time.
What was that for? It was just to reuse it kind of thing.
We made an installation
All right.
at the Box Spawn day, the
Wow,
council
excellent.
offices.
Okay.
And here Louise gave we were doing like a little consultation thing for her masters, so she was using us as an example of I can't remember exactly what her masters was on, but she was looking at community allotments and things like that.
Massive pumpkin there. Bloody hell.
Yeah, we did a lot of so much growing, and there's
got
just
pumpkin
so
and-
much that we did. Yeah, now I'm just scrolling. And then at the end of 2018, actually, wasn't it, that we did the pantomime, and it was a huge success, like Paul Seaby said. It was massive. We were raising money for, well, firstly we got money from the co-op, so that was the first time we actually won any money. Was I think that was the end of 2019. The
Brilliant.
excitement.
Wow,
Wow,
that's
that's a lot of
So
brilliant.
that was from our local co-op, and it was, yeah, that was the first time we got a massive amount of money.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
We've still got some of it, haven't we?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit there.
Was that we got the shed out of that money, didn't we?
That was a big chunk of it, wasn't it?
You can get the solar panels with that money, man.
Oh, fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
pumpkin shooting machine.
Yeah, all that visioning.
And we did a lot over Christmas actually this time in 2018. And that was how much we raised for. We were raising money for Hertfordshire Mind with the Panto, and we raised like nearly £200. So it was really cool.
Fantastic.
Oh, actually, we got to £297
Wow.
because we did a whole weekend, didn't we? That was great. I may as well show you a video from that. You'll have to go through Instagram to get the sound.
Brilliant.
Let's have a look at that. Yeah, it's great. So this is, yeah, it's been amazing, really looking at all of this. You've done so much.
Yeah. So I think, like, I haven't even got to 2019, but we actually in 2019 basically we started Young Voices and started working with younger people in developing a voice for their, like, what they need in the borough, and we continued with our open mics and swap shops, and that kind of led us to, obviously Kieran and Sam were continuing the comedy nights, which is great. And we were what came out of the Young Voices event was that people needed an open mic, like younger people needed an open mic or a space to play music, and they were really interested in politics and kind of just experimenting and having a creative place to go. And we actually raised money at Harrison Hall that year, which I forgot, in March. So we have actually done a few fundraising events, which has been great. And yeah, I won't go like, I feel like I could go through the whole lot of this. But we got our shed at the start of 2019 as well. And I think that gave us a space to really have a place to go when it was raining, and we hadn't had that before. And it's a space maybe we haven't taken full advantage of, but is there now for us to use when we can, and when we can get together again. And I think this is, so like at the start of 2019 we did, if I'm right, this is 2019, well, we did like reassess the allotment, and I think what came out of it was like the conversation around how accessible the space can be, and you know, what and how we can use it for social and educational purposes, and getting a polytunnel possibly. And I think all these questions are there still now, like, you know, how do we make the space more accessible to people, that being like with disability, but also with diversity, and looking at who can use the space and who has access to the space. Like I guess there's many questions come up in the past year about how important it is to use a green space, and that's why there's been less online this year, I think, but we did start with these ideas of like looking at accessibility and trying to think about a better use for the allotment, because we realized we hadn't necessarily used the allotment for we hadn't used it as much as we could have to develop as a space. So it was great to think about that as the start of the year. And we had a few more Young Voices open mic events, and swap shops, before we had to sort of like shut down for the year. So it's quite nice to look back on what we actually achieved this year rather than what hasn't been achieved. And we did some online events, like Perry did a live stream, didn't you? Like a little, I was thinking about what did we do this year, and I remembered that you did like a little live stream.
Yeah, because of the because we couldn't do the games thing at the Harrison Hall, I did a live stream of some marble game, didn't I?
Yeah.
I think there were some people trying to like log in and join in, but there was like technical difficulties and stuff. But it was
funny.
It was potential for like, you know, stuff we could do. And then I think I like expressed like we could do this with the open mic and stuff. Like it was an avenue of something we could do virtually. But yeah.
And Chris put on a lot of events as well. Chris put on a lot of open mic events online, which was really cool. But we really, I suppose we have slowed down this year, and everyone's trying to be dealing with this time in a very different way. And it's just reflecting on kind of where we go from here, really, to what we want to see going forward. And maybe I'll stop sharing this now because I'm nearly at the top. Just moving everything around.
Thanks, Rosanna.
Thanks. I did have a list of stuff, but I think we can probably talk about like what the challenges have been. And, it's kind of nice to look back on.
I think that's amazing, just seeing everything you guys have done, and you know, looking at this is why reflection process is really good, because it's like we've spoken to you about all various things, and you've been telling us about the kind of visions, we spoke about the vision, but seeing that is like, wow, you guys have done so much. Why are we here? You don't need us. No, it's absolutely amazing. It's fantastic. There's so many things that you appear to, you have touched on and that you've done, and I think it's really inspiring. What I'd like to invite us all to do now, so the original idea was going to be so many to sort of do this here now, is to imagine that we're sitting around a fire, okay, and we're going to be storytellers. Yeah, exactly. So we're sitting around a fire, and so it's warm, you're well fed, and you have a hot or refreshing drink or whatever is your tipple, whatever you choose to have, and you're excited for the future. Okay, you are so excited, you're warm, you're fed, you've just got all your basic instinct, all your basic things have met, and I want you to start looking, thinking about reflection questions. Okay, so we've had a really great look at all the things that Cheshunt has done and achieved, and I invite you to think about those reflection questions in the form of once upon a time. So we're around this fire, we're warm, we're fed, we've got a hot drink, and once upon a time, what would your reflections questions be? So what inspired you? What were your inspirations? What were your initial expectations when you started Groschessen? For anyone that's you know, come along to Groschessen. So for example, you know, Trevor coming in, and what have, even for your own, say for your own allotment, what are your initial expectations when you started your project, when you started the whole process? And so we've seen what worked well, but what worked really well, and what empowered you? What did you feel? Did you feel empowered? Did you feel that you had a role within either with Groschessen or any other community group, any other organization you worked with? So we're sitting around this fire and we're just looking, and sorry, we're looking into the flames. Flames can be quite inspirational, and you're thinking about the reflection questions. And I invite you to think about how you communicated as well. So yeah, how did you achieve these things? Why did these amazing things work so well? Why did things work for you particularly? Did you meet once a week? Did you meet once a month? Did you listen to each other? Did you really take in what somebody was saying, or were you so busy in your head you just wanted to get all your ideas out and you didn't sort of really take it in? So I invite you to start your reflection questions with once upon a time, and I invite anybody that wishes to start this once upon a time story.
I'll start. Okay. So once upon a time in Cheshunt, of course. Yeah, there was a group of friends who felt that there could be more opportunity in there locally, basically, and that there could be more environmental awareness individually, more responsibility that individuals could take on and community could take on environmentally. So going into that, my expectations initially was to just sort of unify people, bring people together to discuss environmental issues, and just to see where people were at, where we could go forward, and how we could locally have an impact, or at least know that we're trying to find solutions to maybe bigger problems, but starting at a local level. And I think the challenges I think were for me personally, that I thought more people would be interested initially. So I thought it would kind of be easier, a bit naive, that I thought that people would just be like obviously interested in environmental issues. Why wouldn't they? And then from that, I realised that you or we as a collective had to adapt to pulling people in through other avenues of their interests, whether that be sitting in a pub and then putting music on for them, and then having a conversation maybe around the environment or an allotment, and then sort of realizing from that people were actually interested in these things such as growing food allotment, but they never had the opportunity or never thought that the opportunity would come their way. So it was quite kind of eye-opening in a way that you just kind of have to sometimes lead the path for people, and then they would actually be there. A lot of people are actually interested in these things. It's not like a left field kind of topic, but you kind of got to make it approachable and understandable for people. And yeah, and I think one memory when you said that to me was when like me, Rosanna, and Bex. Bex isn't here tonight, but we went into the Broxbourne Council, and it wasn't with Paul Seavey, it was with some other guys in the council, and we like initially proposed the idea of Groschessen, where we didn't really understand what it was or where it was going, but we like proposed the swap shop idea. We had the pub who were interested in using that, we could use the space for free, and we had the swap shop idea where people would just come and trade things, and their response was very kind of like just about money and about the price of the value of things, and we were like, that was eye-opening as well, because we were like, oh, okay, well, we're just going to do it our way then, because it's not about that. So that was really kind of helpful, because we were like, we realized we could do anything really. We'd like to give this a go, we'll give that a go. And we didn't rely on anyone else. We were just like, let's just give it a go. We had each other's support, and that was enough. And yeah, that was like the beginnings story. Yeah. Haven't been
I
on
remember
mute,
that conversation.
Yeah, do you remember that, Rosanna?
Yeah, I was going to say that it was, I think we started with started thinking, oh, we're not going to need money, like we don't actually need, that's not what we need from you. We need space, and we need like help to work out
Support.
Yeah. We don't actually need, like, money is not the starting point for us. I think that was the really key thing, and in a way that was probably one of our challenges as well, was like that it did take us a while to work out what is important to have money for, and what is, you know, the fact that it's not everything as well, but having like how to balance that out, I think, as individuals, but working in community. Yeah.
So that question, or the start once upon a time, that's great. Does anybody else have a once upon a time? So Ellie, we have just been going through, so Rosanna did a presentation showing us the fantastic things that's been happening with Groschessen. Lots of reflecting, lots of processes, and we are now going using some creative imagination, and we're around a fire, and the fire is warm, it's keeping us warm, we're well fed, and we have a hot, refreshing drink in our hands, and we're really excited for the future. So we're starting our reflection questions with Once Upon a Time. And Kieran has wonderfully introduced us to that process by going through the different situations and opportunities and challenges that sort of came up there, and how it worked or it didn't work. And what I would actually like to include in this is when you've said you're sort of part of the stories. Imagine you're holding a baton, and there's somebody that you would like to continue that story for you. So you're passing that baton over, and then that next person actually continues that story. So Kieran, I invite you to pass your baton to somebody to continue their part of their story that either connects with Groschessen or that has a very similar process going with it. So Kieran, I invite you to pass the baton.
Okay. I'll go for Paul. You're on mute, Paul.
You're on mute, Paul.
I'm just trying to think the first time I met Groschessen, though. I suppose it, some of it was at the Old English with the open mics and the comedy nights. But I suppose Groschessen came really into sort of more than what it's about was when you did the installation at the open day, where there was very much a focus on reuse and recycling and upcycling. And obviously it took on the challenge of plastics, which has become quite a big issue. I think very few people actually came to talk to you on that day, which I obviously thought was. I only know that because a friend from the Fair Trade group said, "Oh, not many people came," or I think you said only one councillor came, or something along those lines. Yeah. So Rosina's laughing, so I passed the baton to there because she may want to take the story up a bit further.
I think it kind of shows our relationship with I think our relationship with the council, but also the people of the Borough of Broxbourne. It's not easy to establish a relationship with people here. You really have to put a lot of effort into approaching anyone. That's councillors and general public. It's unless you have the specific interest, like Paul CB turned up at our comedy nights and open mics, which we really appreciated. But it's really hard to get a lot of the councillors to kind of sit and listen. And sometimes you do realise that they just want to give you some money, and that's okay. We can do that, or like Patsy Spears is another one who's always around and very active in the community, but she was always active in the community. So I think we've also realized that it didn't matter who spoke to us. It was just having a presence. And like Kieran said, like we did it by ourselves. We said, can we, like we just did things without asking sometimes. And normally when we asked, we were actually given a space. We said, we've used Flamstead End Hall, Wormley Community Centre. We've used the British Legion, Cedars Park, and Broxbourne Council offices to do the young person's open mics. And I think as a group, we really showed that if you are persistent and kind of like kept pushing for something, it probably would happen, maybe in a different way to the way that you expected. But I think resilience is kind of something that we wanted to build into what we were doing, and and everyone has used their passions in different ways. And once you realize that actually asking helps, I think that really kind of helped to kind of build confidence and empower individuals. And yeah, sometimes it was a lot of kind of pushing to talk to people, like you have to approach people, but it's something that once you've done it a few times, that you have to go and introduce yourself before they'll come to you. Yeah, and I think one of the challenges was really, like, for me as someone who's I quite do like doing everything. I'm not very good at delegating. I was never good at delegating jobs or anything. So I think the kind of structural governance thing, like we took on roles but maybe didn't have a structured system for like who did what, where, and like how projects are run and things like that. So I think we have to learn as individuals not how to look after ourselves within this community setting, and then also let people do. It was hard to actually like working out how to listen to people, and then you realize that maybe you missed something at some point because you were just excited about one thing, and it's how you kind of grasp onto those different energies at different times, and how you don't let people go. Like if they come in and they say something, like how do you hold on to that idea, because they might not come back if it hasn't been given a chance. So it's like, or there might be resentment because you haven't listened properly to what someone's trying to communicate. And I think those, yeah, learning like how do you fit that into a group that is predominantly voluntary. And yeah, it's really kind of lots of questions around that which come out of the process of like learning about our community and yeah, moving forward. I might pass my baton on to Ellie, because I feel like if you feel like talking, Ellie, I feel like maybe this links with what you were talking about last time. You don't have to speak today if you don't want to. Oh, you're mute.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. Maybe I could say once upon a time I volunteered, to use a once upon a time. And I think it's really, really interesting what you said, because I realize I've gone through it's really stupid, I'm going to confess. I mean, a complete pain in the ass, but I realize I, as a volunteer, am very vulnerable. Even a volunteer who actually has quite a lot of knowledge about community work, etc. And exactly what you said, Rosanna, when I maybe put my hand up once and if people didn't respond, I felt rejected. And it just made me realize that actually when you're working in a community setting, how to support each other is really important. I don't think I'm any better at this than other people. But exactly what you said, because somebody who is vulnerable, we don't know who they are, has come forward, they've said something. And that's a key moment. And somehow how to develop that, not just the nurturing of plants, but the nurturing of the people involved is I think, a really important process. I don't have the answers at the moment, but I'm glad you've raised it, because it's something I think is a really critical part of it. I don't know who else has spoken, so I apologise because I've missed earlier. But I don't know Perry, so if Perry hasn't spoken, can I pass it back on to Perry?
You can pass it on to me, yeah. I haven't spoken. Just building on what's been said before, like I know what Rosanna said about using space which is available and how asking is so important. Like we was able to use the community space at Tesco, for example, just for asking Lynn, I think her name's Lynn, isn't it, at Tesco? She's been extremely helpful to us with letting her use her space and helping us out with some events as well. Howison Hall, connected to Tesco, which I was talking about earlier, were very helpful with using space and donating food to events and stuff. The company I work at very well, who I'm representing with my shirt today. We even I even asked them, like, they're very active and wanting to help out, sponsoring people and stuff. And I was saying I'm part of a community group called Groschessen, and they're located in Cheshunt at Turnford Place, which is where you've got the roundabout when you come off the A10, the next to the Marriott Hotel, that big building there. So of course they was very interested in getting involved because of course they're based in Cheshunt. And it's more like, backing up what Rosanna's saying, asking goes a very long way. And the worst that people can say is no, sorry. So you've literally got nothing to lose at the end of the day. And I feel that, like, that's one thing I've learned since joining Groschessen. Like, a lot of the time, because and it's weird because you sort of like think, well, that's it, why don't I just ask? And half the time you're sort of like, well, I don't want to be an inconvenience. But it's like, at the end of the day, a lot of these companies or a lot of people don't mind the questions, because at the end of the day, if they can help, they will, and if they can't help, then they won't, like, basically. So it's always best to just go forward and ask. And I think that's one thing that we've, like, as a community group, have flourished in, reaching out and obtaining so many different people from so many different places. Like, for example, the cafe as well, I know that we was able to have a few good, because we had that facility available. And just basically, yeah, I like, one of the great things I love about Groschessen is that it is very well respected within the community, and a lot of people know us and are fond of us. And events we've done before, we always keep getting people come back, like even the games event, because I was doing that a lot with Ray I'd say on our own, but we did get a lot of help from Rosanna and Bex. But we had people being like, oh, that was a fun thing you did, when's the next one? You know, they want more. And it's like a good retention of people. And then it's like, it's not just about the allotment itself, it's about, like, you know, the people that we get for that, and the, like, where we can go from there, basically. Yeah, that's just all I'd want to add with that.
Oh, that fire. Oh, it's so warm. It's great. Oh,
Roaring.
yeah, it is. It really is. It's great. Who are you going to pass your baton to, Perry? Who do you want to continue this story?
Shall I pass it over to Trevor? Has Trevor spoke?
Yeah. Once upon a time, there were the McKennas. Yeah, you guys are inspiration, big time. It's awesome how much you've done. And I wish I'd partaken more. But I think one of the reasons is just like when you're working in London, and Cheshunt's typically a commuter town. So I think you've got loads of young people, but they're all sort of knackered come the weekend. And I was one of them. So now with this COVID, we all kind of got absolutely no excuse to partake in things like this Zoom. And it's a good forum because you don't have to go anywhere. You can just stay in your pajamas and crack on. But come the weekend, if I'm hoping that after this COVID, we'll all be sort of working more from home, and I'll have loads more time and energy to get involved. But yeah, it's been great. And I don't know, what am I thinking? So, I mean, I love the idea that there can be like a regular scheduled event. So like with the open mic night, I can't believe I didn't go there more than twice, but now I wouldn't have an excuse for that. But it's brilliant when it's a scheduled thing, because then you eventually you're going to get around to joining. So it's not for lack of wanting to be there. It's normally just because you like, if I was still working at London, I'd still be trying to get home now on the train, and I wouldn't be able to partake in this. So I'm hoping that this whole COVID thing changes. The new normal will mean that people will give more of their spare time to things like this, and it'll be more encouraging, because you guys have obviously put the energy into it, and that's much appreciated. And as a side idea, I don't know if this is even appropriate to say, but I was thinking of if there was a way you could use space for like someone's spare garage, just to play music, for bands to get together, like random people just to jam. Because like the open mic night, I'm too shy to to play because I'm not good enough, I haven't practiced. But imagine there was like a Groschessen garage that someone was happy to put a drum kit there and just leave it there for random people to sort of book and play and practice, and then if they're good enough can play at the open mic night, you know. I don't even know if that's a relevant thing to say, but it was just an idea. But yeah, what else? Yeah, I've in terms of what my expectations were, I mean, I remember Rosanna coming up with a lot of ideas way in the beginning, and I just didn't think much was going to happen, but it's quite impressive what can be done, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. And also the McKenna's such a talented bunch, goodness me. I literally have Declan on my playlist as one of my favorite indie songs, Life on Earth, amazing. But yeah, I think that's all I can think of right now. So keep it up, because it's really encouraging. And just my lack of participation was not a lack of will. I definitely want to do more in the future. And I think more people will be able to, given the new normal. Who hasn't spoken? Raise your hand.
I think everybody's had a go. I think everybody's had a moment around the fire that have been talking. It's fantastic to hear all of your extended stories and how where you've been is amazing, and to add to that and what you said just makes it even more, and the connection with the communities. And I think it's important to remember as well that we have Groschessen, but we all have our own experiences that we have been through that can reflect in our own way. So for example, Ellie and Trevor, you know, you have your own little community spots as well, and I think there are lots of similarities that can happen. So looking at where you are within your own individual settings as well, and how they can reflect and actually spread out and connect with organisations like Groschessen. So your own expectations of what you wanted, for example, in your allotments or in your community gardens, and what your own challenges are. So, you know, we've spoken about a lot of the great things, but what were the challenges? You know, were there any challenges? So in your stories, were there any challenges? And if there were, how did you overcome them? Did you experience any? Because it's okay to have those challenges, because those challenges is where we actually learn those lessons from. So were there any challenges in things that you attempted to do, or was it just really easy, and was it just a piece of cake?
No, definitely not. No, I was gonna say, like, we just put so much time into, like, at the start, like, all of us just put so much time into promoting what we were doing, just telling everyone, trying to get the message out. So like we would do leafleting into people's houses, or we would, like, all around sort of the old pond area, or wherever we were doing an event, we'd sort of leaflet people's houses. Or then for like the open mic nights and the comedy nights, as well as using like Facebook to promote ourselves, and yeah, like Nextdoor and online sort of event sites, we would like stand outside the train station and just like speak to people, like just hand out leaflets, and just really like face-to-face promotion, really. Even if people were never going to come, we just to let them know what that Groschessen existed, just to get them to check us out. Like, yeah, like numerous hours going around doing that kind of thing. Chalking the floors. I think like one of the first swap shops that we had, like a lot of people came in because we were just chalking the floor before of the concrete, like in the pond, just with arrows, and then people would follow the arrows and then like just end up in the pub. So yeah, just anything and everything, like the amount of, we did have setbacks. I guess I can't. We're not like anything major really that I can think, Rosanna, but just the challenge was engaging people. I think that always is the challenge with community work. Like it's just engagement, and that will always continue. I guess that's the fun of it, really. Like you get these little gems, you get people just turn up who are just wonderful, and will just keep coming back, or that you've made their day, by existing. So yeah, definitely challenges. Do you think of anything, Rosanna?
Yeah, I think kind of just following on from what you're saying is more like that it's been challenging to kind of retain that enthusiasm, I think, as it was so exciting at the start, and we really had like, I think you just need to balance what is going to sustain yourself as much as it's going to sustain the community. And I think with all of us like realized at one point that we were overdoing it, and I think there's a real aspect of like, how do you implement the kind of conversations about well-being from the start, which I think we were quite open about, and we had very good discussions about like, how do we look after ourselves. But maybe we didn't have that consistency of like, that's something we talk about from the start, and if new people come in, like we should be saying this as well, like this is what community work is. It is about engaging and being engaging in so many different ways that your energy can be used, and sometimes you just like, I think the delegating things, when I guess like me, Bex and Kieran would do a lot of the stuff, we didn't quite know how to like look after volunteers really, or like how to ask. We were asking friends and things, but then like when it gets to a certain point, you're like, how do you then pass things on? Or like, I don't know if you felt this, Kieran, but I think I always struggled with that, like how do I pass a project on if I know that I've taken too much on? And but it does make me think how much we put in at the start to just go out to like train stations and leaflet and chalk the floor, and like it was so exciting to do. But all of us as well, we weren't working at the time. For a period of time, I think we were all not working, so that helped.
That kind of helped, yeah.
But it was when you go back to like realizing, oh yeah, I've got to kind of sustain myself in some form. In a sense, we helped ourselves by getting experience in this work, like the job Kieran's just got. I guess that probably helped you a lot, did it? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's kind of something that we talked. It's giving people opportunities. Like, how do we do that for other people as well as ourselves? And we gave ourselves opportunities, and I guess that's kind of a main thing going forward, is like, how do you give other people those opportunities that we were able to have? And like Perry said about the asking, like, people don't know that, and like, how do you build the confidence and resilience in people to and the processes of like establishing relationships so they feel confident in you, so that you can help them find their path. So there's so many.
Okay, thank you. What I would just like us all to do, just as a really bit of a quickie, just a little bit of an interim, we just go away and have about 5 minutes, about 5 minutes, a little bit of a reflection time for ourselves. And then what we do for the last few moments of this session, we'll come back together and we'll actually try to capture a lot of the things we've discussed this evening. And then we're going to ask questions about what next, what actually comes next. So if we just come back in about just after I'm hoping all of our clocks are synchronized. So if we come, my clock here says just after past. So if we come back just after 25 to, so I invite you to go away and just have a little bit of a silent reflection on a lot of the things that we've actually discussed, and include your own projects as well, because yeah, there is very much a connection. We want to help build this Cheshunt community. So yeah, we come back together just after 25 to. Or actually sort of think about that way. So what we're going to do, what we want to do as much as possible is capture everything that everybody's been talking about. And as we're not together and we can't necessarily get all this down on paper, we're using something called Miro. So we did this in the visioning workshop and it was really brilliant. We managed to print that off, and we're going to make it into an A3 kind of poster, and we're going to put it up at the Grow Cheshunt allotment as part of the process of what we're starting to do. So we're going to do the same again in the reflections workshop. So hopefully, well, as I say, this is going to work. I'm going to share my screen, and then hopefully Ian, Rosanna and myself, or just Ian and Rosanna, if that's okay, are going to get some of the words down, some of the things you say, and we're going to actually get them down onto this Miro board. So just bear with me while I share my screen.
I say I've already got down quite a lot of it.
Oh wow, you have, haven't you? Yes.
Yep. Forgive any typos and things. I was tapping it out as quick as I could to keep up with everyone. But yeah, so it'd be really good if we can expand on what's already been said, and if any of this prompts other things or just continuation of what we've already been talking about.
Well done, I think you're right. I'm going to try and okay, I can't move the board around. So, oh, who's moving the board? Or was that me? So what we've, for some reason, I can't move the board around. Bear with me. So what Ian's been doing wonderfully is capturing, let's have a look at this, a lot of the things we've been saying. And please tell me if McKenna's awesome. Yeah, brilliant. I like that. That's fantastic. So
Wendy, you might need to zoom out because we can't see a lot of what's on there.
That's what I'm trying to do. You can tell I'm still getting used to this, can't you guys?
Sorry, what's the point on the volunteering? Because I know Rosine and Ella made some very important points about volunteering, the management of and the utilisation of those people that want to volunteer.
Right.
Yeah, so we've got
I can't see I just got for volunteer. Oh, very vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah, so if we can, if you guys just want to share a few more of some of the things you said, as I say, Ian's got them down, or just share some, more ideas. And what came up when we just had a few minutes away from each other now? Was there anything else that came up for you, in relation to sort of, did anything settle for you? Has it brought anything up that maybe you would just like to reflect on in a deeper process? Are there specific things that really worked that you really, really want to focus on making sure that Grow Cheshunt or your own community project definitely retains? Are there things that actually, no, we've learned this and it just didn't work and we're not even going to try it again? Or would you be prepared to perhaps find a solution to that thing if you had some value, if it had some value to you? So just just anything at all, just chuck it out there. So did anybody have anything that they reflected on?
Gwendolyn, this doesn't necessarily follow from what you said, but it struck me when Rosanna was speaking and Kieran, that they used, I don't know enough about this kind of nudge theory, this idea that you can sort of nudge people into doing things. I mean, I love the fact that they physically went out and did stuff, and I think that's very impressive, and I think it's really interesting that they had to work that hard, and I think that's how it is. But they also, just things like the arrows and the notice board, they're kind of nudging people towards something, and before they know it, and so that just struck me when she was speaking. That was really all. I don't know if you've come across nudge theory, as I say. It's kind of ways of modifying people's behaviour a little bit.
Never heard of that, actually.
No,
There's actually,
no.
there's actually a unit, or there was a unit in number 10 that worked purely on nudge, and nudge is quite an international thing. The Irish Inland Revenue, they found that people were more likely to pay their taxes in the Republic of Ireland. They got a handwritten letter. They felt they were being asked nicely to pay up rather than send a computer generated letter. And it's also about, you know, giving people reasons why they should maybe make a lifestyle change. People don't tend to respond to being bossed about, which is where the, you know, nudge sort of emanates from.
And the arrow fits in perfectly with that, because you just put an arrow down and it somehow that encouraged people to follow the arrow.
And people are generally nosy to a degree, so they will follow the arrow to see.
Yeah, that's good. It's like telling,
you know, art on the pavement, because we don't get art on the pavement, you know, in these parts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like telling a child that you can't do something, isn't it? And then a child will just, you know, the more you say no to a child, the more a child will actually want to go and do that thing. If you tell people they can't have something, then it actually makes you kind of want it more. But yeah, I've not heard of the nudge theory. I'd be really interested to learn more about that. And I think this is why I keep mentioning how, you know, how you are able to communicate effectively, or how we all can communicate effectively. What are the, you know, how do we communicate, and how can we make sure we communicate effectively? And that's by perhaps not having such a hierarchical group of people come together. Everybody shares their skills and everybody shares their experiences and knowledge, and there are different ways and to actually achieve a more democratic kind of process. I don't know if any of you heard of it. There's a way of dynamic governance called Sociocracy, and basic Sociocracy is just where everybody goes round and somebody puts a proposal in, and everybody goes round, makes comments on that proposal, and if they agree with it, they do something called consent, or if they're not quite sure, it's called consent with concern, or somebody may object to it. But what it means is that everybody has a voice and everybody's opinion is taken on board. And if you know, there's a little bit of a not kind of sure, that people are not quite sure to it, then it's not that any of those ideas are dismissed. It means that they're actually considered, and then they will discuss those later on. So everybody has a right to talk, everybody has a right to speak, and it just makes everybody's opinion really valued. And some of a sociocratic process, things can actually get achieved really, really quickly. So all of the invisible stuff is really, really important, because that's how we manifest. We can manifest the invisible, and then we can see that through things like Groschessen, it becomes tangible. So was there anything that came up for anybody in the really short reflection process?
I think it's also another Rosina point about how people relate in in the area, and I thought was quite important to note.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived in this area for years, and I find it a kind of very curious place. And although I still haven't got to Groschessen, but some of the things that Rosanna's been trying to do is one of the few things that's spoken to me in terms of what I would like to see from an area. if that makes any sense. And I think there are pockets of people who speak that way, but and more people would once they kind of got to know the language, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think we tend to, I mean, obviously it's easier when talking to politicians, talking to bureaucrats, where you talk about the borough of Broxbourne, but there's actually no such place as the borough of Broxbourne. It's a collection of different communities. Even in my own ward of Frampton End, there are different, communities. I think it's about understanding and embedding yourself in those communities and understanding how people relate to each other. Plus, you can divide the not in a negative sense, but you can divide the borough up into those who've lived here all their life to those who, for whatever reason, came here, often because housing's cheaper than wherever they came from, or they get the best of both worlds, you could argue. You got London on the doorstep, yet you got quite a lot of country still, and with the Lee Valley Park, that's likely to be there for a long while.
And communities change as well, in a natural ecological process. Ecosystems, they start and they evolve and they grow and they change, and they can change, in a human perspective as well. People come in and they start things off, and like you Kieran and Rosanna were saying about, couldn't have been done without having all those people involved with it. And people come and people go, and people will go off, and there's been extensions. So with the whole Groschessen, you have Groga, you have the comedy, you have the mic night. There are different things happening, and these have all become strands, and people have gone off and done their own processes. And now there's this thing where we're doing these workshops to involve the wider community, and this is where looking at it's going to become, well, it feels to me like it's going to become a different kind of ecosystem. And that's great. Ecosystems grow if they've been nurtured, they will grow, and they will get bigger, and you will yield so much more from them, and hopefully that will reverberate around the community.
I was just going to add a point to maybe what Paul was saying, but like sort of building connections with characters in community, or like sort of people who are well known in community, like well respected. I think that's been quite important as well. So like one example in Wormley, so just down the road, the Wormley Community Centre that has a shop connected to it, and the shopkeeper Andy is just like a well-respected guy in the community there, and like people in Wormley sort of turn to work around there and use the shop regularly. And so having run events there, you sort of run everything through Andy, and people more or less will attend on his recommendation. So just sort of building kind of just organically that happened, but like getting to know people and where people stand in the community, and who you probably find these people in each sort of small, like the small communities, but they do exist where this people's opinion matters, and if they approve kind of what you're doing, and if you're helping them, then you can really get good feedback from that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important, isn't it? It's, being present and networking, and yeah, absolutely. Okay, so thank you, Rosanna and Ian. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now because I'm aware of the time. And if you guys do want to continue playing, Myra is really, really great for that kind of thing. So what we've tried to do, so when this has only been the second workshop, but in every way possible, try to capture everybody's voice here, and their opinions and their ideas. So that's why we've been using the Miro board. And sorry I didn't say it in the beginning, but I have been recording this workshop, but it's only going to be kept just you know, privately within this group, because it's another way of recording and capturing some of the things that perhaps we won't get on the Miro board. But what we'll do is we go through it and get all the nice juicy bits from it, and just don't burn yourself on the fire. So what I would like to invite you all to do now is really just to think about what next. Okay, so you know, we had a fantastic visioning workshop where we went forward in the future, and the journey was amazing. There was just so much that came out of it, and we've captured absolutely loads from that. And I think we've captured loads from this workshop as well. So we've actually we've stepped, you know, back in time, and we've seen all of those really great things that have happened, the hard work that was, you know, that you guys put in. And so what next? What do you see, or what would you like to happen next? And again, yes, predominantly this is a Grow Cheshunt workshop, but within your own communities, is there perhaps something that you've taken from this workshop that you would like to see as a what next? And if so, how could we all work together to help that happen? Or just from a Grow Cheshunt perspective, what is next that you can see can happen? And I put the baton out there to anybody that wishes to take it.
Well, can I just ask a very practical question? I mean, what at the moment, what access to Grow Cheshunt is there at present? Because during the lockdown, how are you operating? Because that might inform us, and I'm sorry, I don't know that bit, because that might inform next thing. Because I really want to come down and see how you work is one of the things I really want to do, and because I like what I experience here, I still want to come down.
If I can step in and answer that bit will come after this bit. So we will answer your question. No, don't apologize. We will answer your question, Ellie. So yeah, that's definitely going to come. We're definitely going to touch on that. But just for maybe a couple of minutes, if we can look at what do you guys see what's next without knowing what we've thought what's going to be next. Perhaps Ellie, perhaps you would like to say anyway.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that I most want to do. Sorry. So that's sort of the two things go together. And I want to sit around the fire and sing songs with Trevor. But apart from that.
Who would you like to pass the baton to, Ellie?
Trevor then, in that case.
Hey, should I get the guitar?
Mm-hmm.
The marshmallows ready.
Cool.
What would I like to see? I mean, yeah, I do like the fact that this is beyond just an allotment. It's almost like creating a community. Grow Cheshunt is kind of like growing a community and getting people to get to know each other. And there's so many ways you can get people together, because not everyone's into vegetables and growing, you know, but there's people that like music, and there's people that like comedy, and there's people that like poetry. So maybe you can have like a talent night, or maybe you can have a walking club or running club, fitness, something to get people out of the house who can be together but still socially distanced, and then develop kind of relationships so that more friendships are built, and then you've got more of a community, and there's likely going to be more attendance whenever there's something going on. And a central point where people are like, oh, I'm a member of Grow Cheshunt, and I know that this is happening tonight because it's beeped at me on my notifications. Oh, tonight is an open mic night, or oh my word, there's a country walk tomorrow, or like Grow Cheshunt's got a discount on the kayaking. You know, I've always wanted to get in there, but it's bloody expensive. Maybe you guys can get a group discount or something. But it's almost like you want to be part of Grow Cheshunt because there's so much going on, and there's a brilliant community, and you create. It's like bringing Cheshunt to life, because it's such a sleepy dormitory town where all the young people are commuting to London, and a lot of the older people are like retired, and it's just you need something to make a more local life for everyone. Well, certainly I'm finding that I've always had like one foot in London, and most of my energy gets spent there with my colleagues. But now that I'm locked down, I'm thinking, bloody hell, I really would be great to have more of something more stuff going on. And obviously that's not possible in lockdown, but this would be a great central point where people can go and find out what's happening in Cheshunt. And it's not just about the allotment, but that's a great starting point.
Thanks, Trevor.
So should I pass the baton on to?
Yeah, if anybody has anything to add, I'm aware at the time, but if anybody wants to just add to what Ellie and Trevor has said. Okay, brilliant. Fantastic.
We could always type it in the chat.
Yeah,
there's not
actually it's a
enough
really
time
good
to
idea.
chat.
So if you have anything that you want to add, then yeah, please do put it in the chat. But I really, want to really bring this to a close on time. But also just to let you know that, so we've been discussing Wild Edges and Groschessen about what we can do together to actually help grow Groschessen. So taking everything that's been done already, how can we expand on that? And Wild Edges very much focuses on permaculture. So we already understand, talking with Rosanna, that there's very much looking to a permaculture element. So we're hopefully going to be really focusing a lot on that and how we actually deliver that with Groschessen. So we're going to be working on them with to deliver a pilot scheme, pilot education initiative called community-led permaculture. Well, community-led permaculture award, and it's about the community coming together and designing a particular project. But what that project is what the community, for example, you guys will do. That's why we're doing these initial workshops as well, is to see who really wants to be part of that, and then to design something bigger that will then go off and hopefully spread like mycelium under the ground to everybody elsewhere, and really bringing a stronger and more resilient community together. So we've got a couple of workshops planned, hopefully for March and April. Now we are really hoping that there'll be practical ones at the allotment, and we're going to try and do it so it works around people's work times. But we're going to be looking at people's skills that they can bring along, skill share, knowledge, and how we can all mix all of these together and actually start to build that community. But whether they're going to be practical or not will depend on the kind of COVID situation. But we're constantly assessing it. And all we can say is that if you're interested, we will keep you informed of how we're going to do that. But we're going to fight to do a practical workshop at the allotment. So we're already going up there as much as we can and meeting with Rosanna, and we kind of sneak off up there anyway. And we planted some spelt the other day up there, so that's going to be really interesting. Yeah,
I tried amaranth last year.
Oh, it's brilliant, amaranth. Love it. It's so beautiful, and it's tastes so good. It really is beautiful. So that's our aim. And the extension we spoke about earlier about having a 12 workshop. It's part of the permaculture design framework. It's a social permaculture design framework that we're going to be using, and we've never done this before, so even these workshops are a new initiative as well, and it's really exciting to be putting them together. And we just feel that if we can do Zoom, if we can do this, it's keeping everybody present and it's keeping the momentum going, and we will try to keep it as exciting as we can. But we're really open to ideas and suggestions, so chuck them our way if you want to be part of this, and you've got some ideas how we can do all this together. We're just here to facilitate it. We're not leading this, we don't own it, so it's your baby. We're just here to help you guys. So that's our vision for what's next. And yeah, so if you're interested, then do let us know, send us an email, and then we can start actually building that network. And yeah, I've spoken a lot. So what I would like to do, invite you to do, is just offer in, let's see if we can do this, 3 words, something that you're going to take away with you this evening. It can just be a bit of gratitude, or it can be something specific you're taking away this evening. I'm going to do one word. Actually, I'm going to break the rules here. I'm going to say friendship, and I'm going to pass the baton over to Paul.
Positivity and hope, I think. Yeah, that's 2 words instead of 3. I think I passed the test slightly. Yeah.
It's okay, I broke the rules anyway. I made them, then I broke them. So.
That's okay. maybe no rules, or maybe that's too or loose rules. Yeah. Yeah. That's me. Yeah, I think I've got 4 words now. And I was only going to give 2. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. Kieran.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, hopeful. And I guess connections. Yeah, building connections. So I nominate Ellie.
Yeah, I'm going to say exciting and supportive. I'm going to pass on to Perry.
I guess my 3 words are let's get thinking.
That's great. Yay.
And then I'll pass it on to Trevor.
3 words, I guess: inspiration, gratitude for these initiatives. Well, that's more than 3 words. Marshmallows,
Yeah.
conjured up images. That's me done.
Who are you going to pass the baton to, Trevor?
Oh, sorry. Who hasn't been? Sorry, Ian.
Oh, I think I'm going to have to say board games night, because I love the idea of that. We tried to get one going in Devon, but we were in the 2nd smallest town in like the whole country or something. There's about 4 people there. So yeah, board games night. Oh, sorry. And I'll pass to Rosanna.
Yeah, I just have I think building opportunities. Yeah.
And that's everybody, isn't it? Yeah, that's fantastic. Oh, thank you everyone for coming to this evening. It's been lovely to meet those of you that we've met before, and it's been just as lovely to meet new people as well. And we're really excited to be working with you, and we hope we will see you again soon at our next workshop in whatever form that might be. And like I say, if you've got ideas, any inspirations, let's just share them together. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much. See you later.
You're very welcome.